Hi, hey guys, welcome. I'm Harit Patel, and I am part of the product management team for Workspace ONE. I originally was part of the acquisition with AirWatch, and I've been there for about 5.5, 6 years. I'm here just to talk about some of the APIs and how we're basically helping developers to be able to build more amalgamated systems so you can incorporate those newer and fantastic functionality with all your existing systems like inventory management, store management, IT, all of those different things to kind of make your business use cases simpler. One of the things that people usually ask me about is, what is Workspace ONE? People think it's just AirWatch, but it's way more than that. Workspace ONE is a lot of different things, from identity, unified endpoint management, Horizon, and a couple of different things. Workspace ONE UEM, or unified endpoint management, is AirWatch. So we're going to focus around that and how it links into all the other parts of the other products and features that we support underneath the Workspace ONE umbrella. However, some of the things I talk about today will be just around UEM. So over the last couple of years, you've definitely seen that everyone wants to move to a digital workspace and to be able to drive productivity. It's something that everyone wants to tie into, and as you heard in the keynote, people want to enable the end users or employees to be able to leverage any data, any content, any apps anywhere. I am personally a traveler. I love traveling, and I sometimes am outside in a different country for a full week working remote just with this. It has literally everything that I need, and all because some of our teams internally at VMware IT is using some of our APIs to be able to publish applications, publish profiles, configure content, restrict certain restrictions on my devices, all of that with just our APIs. As we get into a more exponential growth, we need to be able to drive our ecosystems. We are looking at making our system more API friendly. I'm going to give you two examples. Amazon and Slack are amazing examples. Amazon, when they started out in about 2000, Jeff Bezos had the mandate that everything that is built on should be on APIs. If any system talks to one or any other system, it should be solely on APIs. There should be no backdoors. There should be no way I could plug into your backend systems, and that's what Workspace ONE is built on. We want to be able to get you everything that you need over our API so you don't have to log into our console. And then that brings us to, where do we start? So maybe I'm going to pause for a quick minute to see if anyone has questions around what Workspace ONE APIs are, or is anyone aware? Or is anyone leveraging, or maybe a round of hands on anyone using Workspace ONE UEM APIs? Okay, a couple. So what we're doing is we want to showcase all of our APIs, and they have been there for a while. Underneath Code VMware, as most of you might be familiar with if you're using the VMware APIs, you see a lot of different dev centers. We have specifically built a dev center that is called the Workspace ONE Dev Center, which houses everything from SDKs, APIs, code samples, community-driven use cases, so you can share all of that and be able to see that, how all of these different platform services like Workspace ONE UEM, Workspace ONE Identity, Workspace ONE Horizon plug into giving you that digital workspace. This is something that's available today. However, we're building on it to make it much more simpler and easier to use and more use case driven. So when we talk about just AirWatch APIs or Workspace ONE UEM, Unified Endpoint Management APIs, what we talk about is about 1,000 different APIs. These thousands of APIs talk about applications, profiles, restrictions, configurations, be it Mac or Windows or iOS or Google platform or Chromebooks. The idea is, as an IT admin, you should be able to tie this into your system. So let's talk about a couple of business use cases. Let's say you are rolling out in a pharmaceutical company, let's say you're rolling out tablets to each of your stores in Chicago, New York, somewhere else. The ability to roll this out in a tiered fashion and slowly roll it out to certain stores, have beta stores, have alpha stores, make sure applications are rolling out on a steady, validated testing basis, you are able to use the APIs that we currently have today to be able to do that. I know customers today that go and have this rollouts on a scale of about 100,000, 200,000 devices just based on about 15 different API calls, which gets you to be able to do those lifecycle management across different features and applications and profiles. So we've been focusing on all of these 1,000 APIs, and what we're trying to do is we want to do some subtraction. We called out about 200 APIs that were not utilizing our latest methodologies or stylistic requirements. So we're deprecating about 200 in actually this month. We announced deprecation about 2 years ago, and we gave 2 years for people to migrate over to. That means we're left with 800, which are the core ones that we want to support for the next 6 to 7 years. So they're going to be there. You're willing to, if you're open to go build on top of it and be able to utilize it. And slowly over time, you'll see some of these use cases show up on VMware code as well. What that means is, okay, let's say you're from, maybe a round of hands, what types of industry are you guys from? What industry are you from? Huh? Travel tab? Okay. Any other retail industries? Or are you guys from financial banking, healthcare, education? So all of these different, there are various different use cases that fit into all of these. High level, it's all about getting that content out to devices in a specific manner. And once we identify and showcase all of these, it'll be easier for you to share within that community and be able to leverage it. So I'm going to cut it short, as I said. I want to find out, and I wanted this platform to have all of you work with us to be able to drive adoption of these different platform capabilities, and also be able to develop deeper technology partnerships amongst ourselves. If there are requirements, I do believe all the 800 different APIs that we have satisfy about 95% of everything that people need. However, we consistently want to develop and make sure everything that's available to you is available to you. So I kind of wanted to keep it as an open discussion. So I want to go around and ask questions if people have any and address them. This is all I had, and I wanted to kind of keep it open discussion. Yes. Yes. Okay. So the question was for people online is wanted to find out if there was a way to have more examples or things readily available or different languages that we support to showcase that. Yes, we do. So we recently migrated to, we were late to the game, but we recently migrated to using Swagger as everyone else in the industry. And we have been doing that for the last 9 months-ish. So everything that's being documented is going to be in that Swagger format, which will have all the responses, all the examples on how it needs to be used, and it also ties into the code samples and the use cases that I talked about, which will be hosted on Code VMware. So some of those UEM AirWatch APIs will eventually be housed in Code VMware instead of where it is today on the specific environment URLs or where you're based out of. Any other questions? No? That was a good question. Right. If you don't have any other questions, I'm gonna. There was one question. Go ahead. Okay. So there were a couple of questions in there. Let me take that one by one. The first question was, do we have other people who are using, please tell me if I'm wrong, or integrating it within your own systems so they can directly call? We do have a lot of customers from retail to lifestyle stores to warehousing. They all do not typically use our console directly because what they want to do is they have different marketing teams. They have an IT team. They have an enterprise team. They are not aware that everything is being handled behind the scenes with, let's say, Workspace ONE. They think it is still integrated into their existing branding systems, marketing systems, and they do call those APIs, and they work fantastically. One of the key ones that I typically have worked with over the last 2 years is I work with the Coke Freestyle machines. They don't use the AirWatch console. They don't use the Workspace ONE console. Everything is integrated into their different IT teams, different branding teams, marketing teams, and they don't go into the console at all except for the IT admin. So that works. The other question that you had was, you mentioned that we are deprecating about 200 APIs. Yes, we are. However, all of them have better replacements already available, so you're not losing functionality. All that functionality is available. However, on top of that, if you're requesting something that's missing, we will be happy to prioritize it and get it much out faster. Does it answer both the questions? Okay. Yes. Yes, good question. So that's part of the question was, how do we know that an API is going to be deprecated or will be deprecated? Today, we sent out multiple announcements saying this API is going to be deprecated by this date, and we consistently send notifications every 1 month or 2 months, and we gave an extra year actually. We said we were going to deprecate in a year. However, we are deprecating in 2 years because we wanted to give time. When you talk about how we are notifying going forward, what we're doing is every time you call that API, in the future you will see a response header saying, hey, this API has been deprecated, please use this one. Additionally, if you try to handle the API Swagger help pages, it will show up there as well. And we will add more notifications in the console itself that, hey, certain integrations are calling these APIs that are going to be deprecated. So it gives you 3 different places that you will know that something is being deprecated and will not be available after a certain time. Any other questions? Yes. Yes. So the question was, is there a page or a place where we can go and find out all the APIs that are deprecated? There are 2 places. One is on our Swagger help pages. You will see them as striked out if they're deprecated. Second is on our My Workspace ONE documentation. It's publicly available where you can go in and there's a massive Excel sheet that maps all the older ones and the newer ones and how to use them as well. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. It was nice talking to you. If you guys want to still stay back, happy to spend some time, get my email address. Please feel free to reach out to me directly. We're trying to change how some of our development works from the ground up as well, across different feature sets that Workspace ONE supports. And we want to be able to make it much more B2D. If you haven't under that, it used to be B2B or B2C or B2B2C, but we're trying to focus on being more B2D, business to development, because we understand it's becoming a developer-centric world. All right, thank you guys.